This week, I won't be reading this blog post, but the blog post that I posted on After Babel with Jonathn Haidt and his team, which is entitled A Mission for Business and Entrepreneurs: Help Bring Back Childhood. When entrepreneurs hear about problems, they see opportunities. This is what I love about the entrepreneurial sectors I've spent my career in: the optimism, energy, problem solving, and value creation that abound. At the other end of the business spectrum, corporations are increasingly recognizing their societal responsibilities, CSR, and embracing sustainability and social purpose, albeit with ideological tripwires everywhere. Given the huge challenges described in The Anxious Generation, the multinational youth mental health crisis, a generation of kids deprived of real-world independence, and an oversaturation of screens and personal devices, we need both this creative optimism and corporate conscience channeled towards solutions. My goal in this essay is to encourage entrepreneurs, both social and for profit, to see this challenge as a meaningful market opportunity. Millions of parents around the world are mobilizing and clamoring for solutions as their concerns for their children grow. They're increasingly recognizing the emptiness and negativity of their own digital habits too. There is a nostalgic hunger in the air for less frenetic, polarized, and superficial times, which means that there's a market for in real life, IRL, memory making, and businesses to be built around it. The two biggest entrepreneurial gaps are in developing IRL solutions to tackle Norm 4 from the anxious generation: more independence, free play, and responsibility in the real world, and in creating safer technology tools for young people. In other words, we need more places for young people to practice and enjoy independence, and we need better technology that will yet let young people use their devices as tools, like a Swiss Army knife, without getting exploited through those devices by companies that are trying to addict and control them. Let's zoom in on some of the opportunities. Opportunity 1, IRL solutions. To remind kids that the physical world is more meaningful and thrilling than the virtual one, we need to create more compelling spaces and opportunities that encourage independence. Only with greater access to these spaces will cultural norms shift, prompting parents to give their children more independence. Teens these days are sadly non grata in many public spaces. With downtown shopping areas and malls in decline across many Western nations, teenism, my term, has emerged as a phenomenon. Teens are often unwelcome, barred from entering stores or shopping areas in groups and left to mill around in dingy parks or communal street areas. Interestingly, McDonald's has capitalised on this trend with a clever ad campaign in the UK that shows how it has become the teen meeting place of choice. But surely fast food joints can't be the only safe public space for teens. It certainly doesn't bode well for their health if so. There's a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs to create and expand spaces and organise opportunities for IRL hangouts, entertainment, skills building, and memory making. There are ambitious commercial entrants to this market, such as The Den, a membership-based, phone-free youth club brand launching in the UK that aims to scale nationally and then internationally, given the right medium to long-term investors. These beautifully designed venues for 13 to 18-year-olds feature event calendars, open spaces, DJ decks, cafe areas, games, shuffleboards, and critically, limited supervision. Fabric, though targeted at adults, is another simple example in the US of creating IRL community hangout spaces. Grassroots sports, drama, and hobby clubs provide fantastic opportunities for IRL play, socialising, and skills building. There's no happier sight for me than standing on the sidelines of my 8-year-old daughter's Saturday morning football match, while another 10 fiercely competitive games rage noisily on the surrounding pitches, with girls aged 6 to 18 cheering each other on and erupting in delight at every goal. Interestingly, it's usually the parents who bring the tone down. Unfortunately, many of these organised clubs are struggling. They lack funding, the ability to professionalise, and the resources to scale. They often scrape by on local sponsorship and volunteer support. The Scout and Girl Guide movements, which provide a strong antidote to phone-based childhood, have also seen declining membership over recent decades. Boy Scout membership in the US, for instance, has dropped from 4 million in the 80s to around 1 million today. More needs to be done to reinvigorate these movements and promote their huge increasing value in modern society. Their resurgence and greater availability will help parents to slacken their reins on children, restore trust, and renormalize unsupervised neighborhood play. The lack of provision for community spaces and association rests also with government cuts to community spending, at least in the UK. For example, youth club funding in the UK has been cut by 1 billion, 70% over the last 10 years. However, the investment world is also culpable. Longer term, slower growth bricks and mortar investments don't attract the same scale of funding as shiny tech solutions that promise 100x returns and attract angel and venture capital. While the decline of the high street isn't entirely due to investor short-termism or greed, Amazon and China share much of the blame, it's certainly a factor. Brands that sink millions into social media advertising are also exacerbating the problem, contributing to the addictiveness and resulting anxiety these platforms fuel, while filling the social media companies' coffers. Corporations and global consumer brands could step in here, offering both employee volunteers and branded sponsorship to fuel successful community initiatives. Burberry, Lego, and UBS have done this with the growing chain of on-site youth zones in the UK, a sophisticated charity model that harnesses local, public, and private sector partnerships to provide valuable youth spaces in underserved communities. With corporate investment and support to professionalise operations, these success stories could be scaled significantly. We don't necessarily need to wait for governments to dip into overstretched tax revenues. These initiatives would also directly alleviate many of the social inequalities that DEI initiatives have sought, with limited success, to address. With so many retail units currently vacant and community facilities from churches to community centres underutilised, not to mention the school grounds that lie vacant after hours, are there franchising or pop-up opportunities to be exploited? Spaces for dances, musical performances, art collaborations, comedy, theatre, or debates. Opportunities for young people to get together, play, and learn during their free time, rather than wasting hours watching what online strangers do. Perhaps partnerships could be established between property owners and companies, local associations, or parent groups to repurpose such spaces for youth initiatives. An IRL pledge from corporations to better support the in-real-life lives of employees and their communities could combine financial sponsorship for local projects with employee volunteer commitments. This would drive the replication and expansion of successful programs. Big Brothers, Big Sisters is yet another example, providing not only strong role models for disadvantaged children, but also fostering valuable social mixing across our ever-widening societal divides. But as we improve our real-world solutions, we also need to innovate around technology and online solutions. Opportunity 2, healthier tech tools for the young. Successful solutions will require a combination of hardware, software, product design, branding, and business building experience. Critically, these experts must not have a vested interest in recruiting young people into the attention economy. A challenge in itself when big tech offers such deep incentives, free lunches and beanbag-filled offices, to attract the best of the best. The opposition is powerful, with billions of dollars of attention economy revenue at risk from restricting social media access to the 95% of teens, 40 million in the US alone, who currently have smartphones and spend an average of 7 hours a day on social media platforms. The main stakeholders in the attention economy are some of the largest, most influential companies in the world, and they are investing millions in lobbying efforts to protect this revenue and their customer acquisition funnel. But the plucky innovators persist. A growing selection of mobile technologies exists at the other end of the spectrum from the supercomputer phones, such as simple non-internet enabled phones, smartwatch trackers and app blockers, but there are still too few options between these two. Restricting first phones to simple text call devices, which are unfortunately labelled as dumb, risks being perceived as punishment to any tween or teen looking enviously at the smartphones in their peers' hands. While the US has seen the most innovation along the spectrum, with the welcome entry of companies like Lightphone, Gab, Unplug, and Bark, much more is needed. And I maintain a list of recommendations at irlpledge.com. Just as children develop rapidly with each year, we need a wider range of tech solutions that can adapt and evolve in healthy ways alongside them. These devices should gradually introduce useful Swiss Army knife functionalities, such as maps, payments, calendar management, Wikipedia access, and administrative support apps, while continuing to restrict open access to the web, social media, and fast dopamine distractions for as long as possible, as young brains are maturing and wiring up. While many big tech companies remain locked in a race to the bottom of the brainstem, as Tristan Harris points out in Chapter 10 of The Anxious Generation, some good work is being done. For example, his work with the Centre for Humane Technology, the age-appropriate design code enacted in the UK in 2020, and increasing attention to raising the age of internet adulthood to 14 or 16 and then enforcing it, as several governments in Australia are now discussing. It's all easier said than done. A phone with internet and data access, required for much of the good Swiss Army knife functionalities, is typically also a device with a browser, enabling access to infinite scroll applications. And there is little agreement as to where to draw the line. Maps? Yes. Payments? Yes. WhatsApp? Not sure. Even the addition of a front camera can be controversial in parenting discussion groups, disliked for the narcissistic selfie culture it encourages, but valued for FaceTiming family members. Parental control functionalities would need to expand to include internet-wide age checks, embedded within operating systems and applied across the entire web, not just to specific websites. Arguably, we should build up from the simple text call phones, allowing parents to opt into additional functionality carefully, rather than building down from a smart device and requiring opt-outs from specific sites or services, which can feel like a game of whack-a-mole for even the most vigilant parents. I know of many exciting initiatives under development and would love to connect with all such innovators to bring together the best options as they come to market. Calling all corporations, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and investors. While some of these ideas might fall more under philanthropy than investment, their impact could be both swift and significant. Yes, some stakeholders might see dollar signs or reputational advantage, but so what if their ideas and initiatives provide healthier alternatives or make our lives easier, less stressful, or more delightful? If entrepreneurs are prepared to put in the work and take the risks inherent in new ventures, or if corporations are willing to invest their CSR budgets and manpower in local initiatives, then they deserve to reap the rewards. Let's create new community-focused models for entrepreneurship and find new, thoughtful entrepreneurs for the young to look up to, role models who inspire the young to invent and create and build a better future. Come on, business community. Come on, innovators. Let's get to work. Entrepreneurship is the starter motor of economic growth, and corporate scale is the engine that drives new behavioral habits and norms. Those new habits and norms can be pernicious or can be helpful. It's up to us. Our failing communities and our young people need us. Please do reach out if you have scalable ideas or solutions that you'd like to share, or for the potential to connect with like-minded problem solvers and backers. I'm hoping to create a network of innovators and capital to further the fortunes of the most promising innovations. See more at irlpledge.com, or feel free to reach out via hello@irlpledge.com. Thank you.